What's going on, hikers? In today's video, I'm going to give you some things that I think that you should do before you even start to think about going backpacking. And basically what that means is, if you do this list of things, in my opinion, what's going to happen is you're going to have a better time on trail. And all your future trips after your first one, you're going to enjoy much more as well. Now, if you've already been backpacking, some of these things will actually help you as well because you may not be doing them. And it may be hurting you a little bit. So sit back and enjoy and let me know in the comments what you think. You know, if you're new to the channel, this whole channel is about backpacking. So our intention, our mission is to help you increase your quality of life on trail, starting with the first thing on our list today. See, I bought a new air mattress, and if you're new to backpacking, you probably have your own new air mattress. Or, you know, if you're hammock camping, that's a little bit of a different story. But this new air mattress, I actually saw Dan Becker talking about it, and I was like, you know what, I'll give that a try. And it's unlike one that I've used before because typically I go with a 25-inch wide pad. This one's only a 20, but according to his recommendation, it done pretty well. So my advice to you is, whenever you get a new pad, or, you know, if you've never been backpacking before, this is going to be your first pad, what I would do is I'd bust that thing out, and if you really are dedicated, actually take a night and sleep on that new pad. Now this one, it is the SLX Q Core by Big Agnes, and I will link it below. You all are more than welcome to try it out too. By the way, some people have been commenting because YouTube has changed a couple of things. So if you're watching on your phone, you actually have to click that little arrow to open up the description menu. So if you want to check out the things that I'm going to talk about today in the description, make sure you click that little arrow down to expand it, because otherwise you won't even be able to see it. So anyway, this air mattress in particular, it's long enough for me. It is wide enough for me, but I don't know how comfortable it's going to be. So what I can do is I can sleep on it at home for at least one night. And then if you want to take the lazy way out, and I may do this too, I don't know, I haven't decided, but what you can do is you can at the very least, air it up at home. This one comes with a pump sack. This is my first time opening it, so I don't know where the pump sack is in here in the packaging, but it comes with one, and you hook it up, pump it up, or you can blow it up just with your breath and leave it out overnight. So the lazy way out is just to check and see at the very least that it doesn't have any holes in it, because if it does, I guarantee you, I don't care how great that air mattress is, you're going to have a terrible night's sleep if it has holes in it. You know, you're going to be out there, you're going to try to patch it in the middle of the night, and it's not going to be fun. So lazy way, let it sit overnight, check it in the next morning, see if it's still aired up and it's still holding pressure. Now, pro tip, you are going to lose a little bit of air whenever you blow it up and it's on the cold ground. And what's actually happening is you're not losing air. It's actually the molecules in the air are cooled down and they have less energy. And, you know, without getting too scientific, they're a little bit more compact. So you may have to add a little air before you actually crawl in and go to sleep on it if you're using it in the woods. But I'm going to move on to the second piece of advice today, something that you should do before you go backpacking. So what that is going through your medical kit. Now, you can either make your own, or I actually have one here that is store-bought. Now, this is supposed to be the ultralight version, but to me, this is a little bit more heavy than I'd like. It's super cool that it's bright yellow and it's easy to find, but if we actually break it open, and I won't go through everything in here, but if we do break it open, you're going to have a bunch of stuff in here that you're probably not going to use. Now, the main things, your go-tos whenever you're backpacking, are going to be blister prevention and blister treatment. Now, that's not to say that you don't need other things. I know that accidents happen. You can get out there, you can get some cuts. Of course, you want things like ibuprofen or antihistamines, or maybe some Imodium or something like that, an antidiuretic, in case you're having those type of issues out in the backcountry. But I guarantee you there's stuff in here that I will never ever use. The probability of me using it is so low. But my disclaimer is, it won't hurt to have it. But what I would do if I were you is, if you're going to do a store-bought one like this one, this is the medical kit by Adventure Medical Kits. And like I said, I will link everything that I talk about today in the description, so you can check it out and you can do your own research. This may not be a good fit for you, but they have all different sizes and types. So go through it and actually figure out the things that you think that you're going to need most. And we'll talk more about making that list and with all your gear and stuff later in this video, but for sure with your medical kit, go in through there and take out the things that you think that you'll never use. So like I said before, you may still use it. Like I was backpacking on the Vermont Long Trail and I would have killed to have like a piece of wrap that I could have wrapped up my ankle because it was injured pretty bad from overuse. But you know, sometimes you just got to tough it till you make it into town or make it back home or whatever. But your medical kit, go through it, see what it's got, see what you don't need, toss that, leave it at home. Now, number 3 on our list, I actually learned from a friend of mine, and it is a great idea. His name is Mr. Backpacking with Jason, sir. Some of you know him from the backpacking podcast that he's been on there with me. And also he has his own YouTube channel, so make sure you check him out. He was like, hey, come on a trip with me. And I went, and then we got back to the truck, and he's like, you want something cold to drink? And I was like, what do you mean? Like we had just drank water the entire trip, and that kind of stinks. So when we got back to the vehicle, and he's like, yeah, there's some cold Gatorade in the truck. I was like, what are you talking about? And let me show you what he did. I'll take you for a little ride here. All right, here's the stringer set up for those of you who are wanting to behind the scenes. But he was like, man, get you a cooler. So I got me this 45-liter Yeti. And basically what you do is you leave it in the truck and you fill it full of ice and drinks, whatever you want. And then whenever you get back and you're done with your backpacking trip, hey, it's sitting there for you, ready for you to enjoy. Let me get you guys repositioned there. You're looking pretty. Stay pretty out there, folks. So the cooler is such a great tool to utilize because it's just uplifting whenever you get done with a hot day of hiking and then you have those cold drinks sitting there waiting on you whenever you get back to the vehicle. Now, let me flip that on you. I don't know when you're watching this video, but for me, it is getting cold in Kentucky right now. And that is a great thing because it's the perfect backpacking weather. Everything's cooling down and the temperatures are so low that I actually can take food with me that I need to keep cold. You know, sometimes in the summertime, you maybe you'll freeze something and take it out on the trail with you. And by the time you get to camp, it'll be good to go. But with the cooler temperatures, that doesn't work oftentimes. So what I'll do is I'll take like maybe some breakfast items. Maybe I want biscuits and I want eggs and I want bacon for breakfast the next morning after my trip. I'll take those out on the trail with me, but I don't want them to spoil on the way. So I'll throw those in the cooler with some ice. And then whenever I get to the trail, I take those and stick them in my food bag. And the temperatures are so cool outside that it actually keeps it cold enough even overnight for me to cook it the next day. Or you can just, you know, have it for dinner. Maybe you're bringing some steak or something like that. So thank you, Backpacking with Jason, for that awesome tip. Shout out to you, man. Okay, you may be wondering where I'm getting all of this super cool gear. And if you are, I actually have the perfect place for you. I got this medical kit and I got the sleeping pad and this awesome Yeti cooler from backcountry.com. They're today's video sponsor and they're a longtime supporter of the channel. I absolutely love backcountry.com for a number of reasons. One, they help me help you because they are the perfect place for you to do your outdoor shopping. They actually offer you a discount. Use the code JeremiahS15. And whenever you use that code, you'll actually get 15% off of your first order. So who doesn't like saving some money whenever you're buying some backpacking equipment? Now, for your gear, they don't just have backpacking equipment, even though that's basically all I buy, but they also have like skiing, running, recovery, anything you can think of, you can pretty much find it on their website for whatever things you're trying to do in the outdoors. So I highly encourage you to go in there and check it out. You know, sometimes I'm shopping and I don't really know what to get. So maybe it's a medical kit like this one. And I'm like, well, which one do I really need for backpacking? Do I need this one that has all this equipment? Do I need the most minimal? Do I need somewhere in between? Actually, what you can do is talk to their gearheads. These are experts in the field, in the outdoors. Everything from professionals in a sport to experts like, hey, I've actually done the Appalachian Trail. I have thousands of miles of backpacking under my belt, and they will guide you and help answer all of your questions. They're available 24/7. You can use the chat feature, or you can just call them if you want to have a conversation on the phone. So I'll leave it up to you how you want to do that, but they are absolutely awesome to work with. If you have any issues, you can just call them up and they're going to take care of you. So thank you, backcountry.com, for sponsoring today's video. Make sure you all check them out. Use my code JeremiahS15 to get 15% off of your first order, and use those as your outdoor retailer. The fourth thing that you should do before you even think about going backpacking, and this may be the utmost priority actually on this list, it is come up with some sort of safety plan. And let's not make this complicated, okay? I like things simple and easy. So the most simple thing to do is to take somebody else with you that knows what they're doing. So if you're new to backpacking, your first trip, you may not want to go it alone. But for some of you, that's not going to work. So we have some other things, and these do overlap. They're not mutually exclusive. Another thing you can do is take something that has an SOS feature, something that is going to alert search and rescue where you are if you need help, and to actually come and save our souls, right? So myself, I use a Garmin inReach Mini. It's awesome because it allows me to text, and I can check the weather if I don't have service on my phone. And on top of that, it has that SOS button that if I have to use it as a last resource, maybe I break my leg and I'm not able to hike out, I'm going to hit that button. And then before I know it, somebody's going to be there to help me. Now, the other thing that I have for you on the safety plan, and this is a biggie as well, is you need to tell somebody where you're going and what the trail is, and then when they should hear from you. So I'll give you an example. My wife, most of the time she doesn't go on trips with me. So whenever she doesn't, she'll be like my backup person. Okay? And what I do is I like to text her kind of a detailed plan of what I'm going to be doing. And I'll actually go on and I'll map out what I'm going to be doing on an app before I take the trip. And then I'll send her a link to that. And then she knows exactly the trail that I'm going to be on. Now, if you're just going out there, you're roaming around, at the very least, make sure somebody knows when they should hear from you. So give them a date and a time. And if they don't hear from you from then, at least by then have some plan of action. Now, a lot of times you're not going to have service in the backcountry, so that could be a great tool to use. Number 5, another thing that you should do before you go backpacking is actually make a list of every single piece of gear that you're going to take with you. And some people like to get real crazy with it. You know, they're really trying to save weight, and so they list out all the grams and all that. You don't have to do all that, right? If you want to, that's cool, do it. But if you don't, just make a quick list of the things that you're taking. Lay it out, take a picture, and then write down all the things that you're going to take. Then whenever you get home, go through your head, make a mental list. Okay, go through, I didn't use that. You know, why did I take that with me? So basically what you're doing is eliminating the pieces of gear that you didn't utilize out there. There are going to be exceptions, obviously, right? Some things you're not going to use every trip, but you still need to take them with you. But for the most part, it will give you a great idea of things that you don't have to take every time. You're going to save yourself some weight, and you're going to save yourself the pain of carrying that extra weight if it's something that is useless to you. You're going to be taking so much stuff that you're like, well, I did not need that 8th pair of socks. That was not smart of me. Leave it at home next time. The 6th thing on today's list, you should do this before you go backpacking. Plan out your food. And I'm going to tell you how I do it. You don't have to be super meticulous about it. It doesn't have to be insanely organized, but I keep mine pretty organized. I make a grid, and I'll show you an example here. I make a grid that has breakfast, lunch, and dinner, at least a couple of snacks, and then the days that I'm going to be out there. So me, for instance, I do a lot of Friday, Saturday, come back Sunday. And then Friday, I'll have like a snack and dinner. Saturday, I'll have all the above. And then Sunday, probably have breakfast and a snack to get me to the vehicle. Now, you can change it however you need to, depending on the trip that you're going to go on, what days you're going to be there. But some things are interchangeable. And then I organize that food in Ziploc bags. So I have like a Ziploc bag for Friday. And then in that bag, I actually take a picture of what I have with me, right? That grid. And that tells me kind of a food plan. Now, I take extra food. That's just me for a couple reasons. One, I really love to snack. But two, I also want a little extra just in case if I'm going to be out there longer. And it could be something as simple as ramen, you know, just to hold me over in case I'm going to be out there a few more hours than I expected. Or you could bring a whole extra day's worth if you really want to be safe. It's up to you. Now, I would at least bring a little bit extra. Now, on that food, interchange it however you want. You know, if you get out there and you're like, you know, I have lunch prepared for Saturday, and I really would like that now. Substitute it out. It's your food. Do it however you want. You know, you don't have to be, you know, structured where I have to eat it in this sequence of events. Why do that to yourself? Some people keep it really loose, and they're just like, I'm just going to take all this food and whatever I want at the moment, that's what I'm going to eat. And if you want to do that too, that's fine. Just make sure that you have enough food. But I would caution you to have some sort of plan, at least until you figure out kind of your dietary habits whenever you're out on trail. The 7th thing that you should do before you go backpacking, and I have to do this every trip, it's very important, check your ego at the door. I kind of think it's like riding a motorcycle. When you first start, you know, you don't throw caution to the wind. You're just trying to figure things out. Do the basics. Be safe. And then you get a year in and all of a sudden you got all these miles under your belt and you know it all. And then you're like, you know, grip it and rip it, baby. And then an accident happens and that really humbles you. Or you almost wreck. And then you're like, oh, okay. Maybe I was a little bit too overconfident. Backpacking's the exact same thing. And it's like a wave, right? You're riding that wave. And something happens. And then you're bumped all the way back down. So make sure you check that ego. Because if you're like me, sometimes you get a little overconfident. And then you get out there and you get in over your head. It could be as simple as you're crossing some water and you slip because you're not paying attention. You're like, oh, this is nothing. I've crossed bigger than this. And then you hit your head and then you drown, right? We don't want that. So make sure you check your ego at the door. List other things in the comments below that you think I should have included in this list. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you give me one of these, subscribe to the channel, and ring that little notification bell. Kick it if you would. We'll see you in the next one.